Howard, it is excellent to see you again. Speaking of lack
You
of
too,
ball
Zach.
movement and a lot of shooting, you covered Kobe Bryant for a few years, and he just recently passed Shaq on the all-time
Thank you.
scoring list. Um, I found it interesting that Shaq has been so hard on certain players such as Dwight Howard, and he had this feud with Kobe Bryant for a while, and yet he just accepted instantly that Kobe had passed him and congratulated him. Did this surprise you at all from Shaq?
No, really not at all. Shaq is a guy who, in the moment when he's having that tussle with guys, whether it was Kobe or Penny or whoever, it's intense and it's real and it can get out of control. But Shaq, he's people don't give him enough credit for the fact that the guy, he understands the game and he understands history and that he's got perspective, and he, as soon as he steps out of the fray and the emotions are calmer and it's not about his ego at that moment, it's not in the middle of a game or in the middle of a season where they're trying to win a championship, with the benefit of hindsight and perspective, Shaq knows. And I think, he may not admit it, but he knows where his responsibility was in all those feuds too. And he genuinely, even I think at the worst of it, I think he genuinely always appreciated and respected what Kobe brought to the table, not just his talent, but how hard he worked at it, how driven he was. And again, let's face it, they've been apart now for 7.5 years, since Shaq left the Lakers. That's plenty of time for, nerves to calm and for guys to calm down. I mean, look, remember they were co-MVPs in the All-Star game a few years ago, which was a lot of fun. And they played well together and they were having fun together. So now I don't think they're going to go out for coffee anytime soon. They're never going to be lifetime buds, but they appreciate what they had in each other, what they did together. And Shaq is much more gracious in retirement, I think, than he sometimes was on the court.
I find his jabs at Dwight Howard just completely fascinating, because I think that I can't figure out, and maybe nobody knows this, maybe it's an unfair question to ask you to jump into Shaq's head, but I can't figure out if it's a defensive thing where he is worried about Dwight taking the legacy of the best center alive right now, or if it's maybe trying to motivate Dwight into being a much better player. How do you look at the entire Shaq-Dwight dynamic?
Yeah, you know what? You could put me in the category of people who've never figured that one out either. I don't understand it. I'll take a stab at it. My guess is he didn't like Dwight trying to do the Superman thing. Now Shaq's not the first guy to be Superman either. Like Reggie Miller had the Superman complex too. It's common. Jerry Seinfeld has it too. I haven't seen Shaq go after Jerry Seinfeld, but I think the idea that Dwight was, when Dwight came into the league, Dwight wasn't like the big jokester right off the bat. He kind of evolved into that, and he didn't do the Superman thing. He kind of evolved into that, and I think Shaq was used to having been, the biggest, baddest, most dominant, as he says, with the Superman alter ego. And, Shaq had it tattooed on his arm, and he had the Superman logo on his cars and on the gate to his house. I think he just felt like, certain things are mine. This is my persona. What are you doing? Go find your own alter ego. Go build your own, your own legacy as a personality and as a player. And maybe the fact that he was in Orlando only made it that much more, I don't know, offensive to Shaq somehow, because he was following literally in his footsteps. So other than that, I don't know. It's a hard thing to put a finger on, because, Dwight seems like a pretty good guy. And, I don't think he's lived up to Shaq's legacy. I certainly don't think that anybody thinks that Dwight has, been able to do nearly what Shaq had done in the same period of time in the league. But I don't think Shaq was trying to motivate him. I think it was more like Shaq felt like, this guy's honing in on my territory.
My last question for you: you spent a lot of time day in and day out with the Kobe Shaq dynamic. Did you ever think that it had a possibility of having a good ending, just for the simple fact that they were winning titles together, or did you see it eventually coming to a head as you were right in the middle of it?
Every year that they won the championship, which was those 3 years in a row, each year you thought, like the first one, there's that iconic photo of the two of them in each other's arms, Kobe jumping into Shaq's arms, and you think, okay, this is it. They're done. They get it now. They won a championship. They figured out how to work together and function well. And And then the next year they had to go through the whole drama again, and the next year again, and then in 2003, 4, when they finally came to a head for the last time, that was it. So no, I mean, each year I think we all kind of got lulled into the idea that once they figured it out, won the championship again, that would be enough to kind of calm everyone down and make them realize that there's a certain way that they have to work together and share the spotlight, share the ball. For whatever reason, it just never could sustain. But that by that time that last year, that 2003-4 season, it was pretty clear that it was coming to a head for good. Like this wasn't going to last, and they were going to have to part ways.
Oh, I thought you were actually going to exit that one.
Uncomfortable silence.
I hope we all enjoyed that Craig Ferguson-esque awkward pause. Howard, thanks so much for dropping by. You're great as always. You have a lifetime pass to slum it over here at HoopSpeak Live. Thanks so much. It was awesome.
I would prefer slumming nowhere else. This is great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.